Hi everyone, we're going to go over the muscles of the face and the neck. And so I'm going to be going through this lateral view and then the anterior view of the muscle. So you'll see me go back and forth. We are only going to cover some of these muscles, so make sure that you have your packets out with you that were given to you, and make sure you look at the list because we changed the list a little bit. Because of the pandemic, we're not going to learn as many muscles. So we're going to first start off with the frontalis, which is also known as the occipitofrontalis here. And I am going to show you, this view here, right? It's here you can see it's called the frontal belly of the occipital frontalis. So the frontalis is the frontal belly. All right, so on your sheet it says frontalis, so that's right here. And pointer. And so right here is the frontal belly of the occipital frontalis. So the occipital frontalis, it's a muscle that goes from the frontal bone all the way to the occipital bone. And you can see that there's an epicranial aponeurosis right here, and that's like a flat sheet, a white sheet that connects the frontalis to the occipitalis. So you know this is your frontal bone and this is your occipital bone, and so this is the frontalis, this is the occipitalis, all right? And so together they're called the occipitofrontalis. And so if we look at the frontalis here, this is going to help you raise your eyebrows. All right, so it raises your eyebrows and it can give you the wrinkles in your forehead. All right, so this is more of like the horizontal wrinkles in the forehead that Mrs. Murphy has a lot of. And so I might say, show me that frontalis, raise your eyebrows. And so we do a lot of funny facial expressions during this unit. All right, so again, raising the eyebrows, wrinkling the forehead. Here is the occipital belly or occipitalis, and this just helps tense the scalp, keeps basically that muscle intact, so it tenses and retracts your scalp. Let's take a look. We cannot see on the anterior view. All right, so it's going to be right here. All right, the next one is going to be, that I want to go over, is the corrugator supercilii. And so the corrugator supercilii is right here. Okay. So, you know what these look like as far as the muscles, they look like little, eyebrows are like right here. And what this does is it, this is like that furrowed brow, that wrinkled brow that, is pulling your skin interior and anteriorly, like you're confused a little bit. So that's the corrugator supercilii. So you need to know where is the muscle and what does it do, all right? And I am going to list for you origins and insertions because that tells you a lot about the muscle itself. And we're not going to test you this year on these, but I am going to give them to you, and I definitely think that you should write them down so you have them for future courses that you might take. All right, there are two circular muscles, like we talked about, being like sphincters, and one is the orbicularis oculi, and the other one is the orbicularis oris. Oculi, think of ocular, think eye. Oris, think oral or the mouth. So your orbicularis oculi, we're going to go over now, and then I'll come back to the orbicularis oris. So these are round muscles like what you'd find with sphincters. And basically, this is going to allow you to squint or close your eye. Squint or close your eye. So orbicularis oculi. That is that muscle. Now, the zygomaticus, you should be thinking, that's the next one I want to go over. You should be thinking, zygomaticus, where's that going to be? Where is your zygomatic bone? Right here, your cheekbone. So if you look at this from the anterior view here, you can see that there's two. There's a minor and there's a major. And so if we look here, hopefully we can see this, we can see the minor right here. So I'm going to go back to the frontal so you can see it's the minor and then the major. And you can see the major is a little bit bigger. All right, so those are your zygomatic muscles called the zygomaticus. And the zygomaticus basically is going to retract and elevate. You can see where they're attaching like to your lip area. And so it's going to retract and elevate the corners of the upper lip. So when those contract, what happens? You smile, right? So this is your smiling muscle, the zygomaticus. So everybody should be smiling right now. All right, your next one, the next one is the rhizorius. So here you can see are your zygomatic muscles, the zygomaticus, the minor, and then the major. And then the rhizorius, right here, if you look at it, look where the muscle is. You can see that, what's it going to do? This is going to more like, smile brings the corners up. Rhizorius kind of just brings them laterally. So this is going to draw the corners of your mouth to the side. So, when you're kind of like, yeah, not too sure, that's your rhizorius. Bringing it up is going to be your zygomaticus. It gives you the smile. Now, while I'm right here, just because this is underneath here, you don't have to know this one, but you might see this platysma. This is this huge, just superficial muscle. Superficial is going to be on the top muscle of the neck. So I just want to point that out because we're going to get to the other side in a second. And it was right underneath the rhizorius. You don't have to know the function. You just have to be familiar that that is a superficial muscle. All right, next we want to do our levator labii superioris and the depressor labii inferioris. So let's do the levator first. So let me see what one I want. All right, so we're going to do, we only have to know the levator labii superioris. So that is right here. Okay, so here's your orbicularis oculi. Right underneath it is the levator labii superioris. And you can see it's right there. And when you see the word levator, okay, you should think it levitates or it lifts up. And really, in anatomy, we'd say it elevates. Okay, so what is it going to elevate? I keep looking at my cheat sheet here because I want to make sure I'm doing the right ones, the ones that you have to know. All right, so this one right here, the superior one, this is going to raise your lip. And you have one on each side. So you can think of it like coming down from your eyes. And what this does is it elevates your upper lip. Now, I can only do this on my right side. We kind of call this like the Elvis look. So if I say, give me that levator labii superioris, it's this motion here. I can't even do it on my left side. I cannot move it. I have not stimulated that muscle enough from when I was young, so it does not work. So some people can go back and forth. You should see if you can do that. All right, so that's the superior one. Now we're going to look at the depressor labii inferioris. So let's look down here. And I'm going to check again to make sure I'm telling you guys the right one. I am. Okay, so this one, if you can see it here, right here, I'm sorry. This one right here is going to, you know, if it's a depressor, it's going to pull it down. All right, so you can see like this is going to be connected to your lips, so this is going to bring your lips down. This is going to be your pout, your pouting muscle. All right, so when you pout, bring your lip down. Then there's another depressor that you have to know, and it's called the depressor anguli oris, and the word angle is in there, so you can see this one right here. And so what's this going to do is depressor, it's going to bring down, but it brings it down more at an angle. So your labii inferior one just kind of pouts, but then like the anguli one makes your lips go at an angle. So it's like, ooh, like this, or you could think of like, it's known as a tragedy mask. So you're like, so that's going to allow your lips to go down and on an angle, and that's why it's called the depressor anguli oris. And so you can get the oris from the mouth too. So, you know, pouting is just the inferior one. The anguli one is a tragedy mask. All right, moving along, let's go back to this orbicularis oris. This allows you to compress and purse your lips. All right, so this is like the kissing muscle right here. So bringing them together. Your mentalis. The mentalis is cut right here. Let's see, keep going the wrong way. It's cut here as well. Your mentalis is going to elevate, all right, and it's going to protrude your lower lip. Okay, it kind of like wrinkles your chin, like when you're like kind of crying a little bit. It's kind of like the ugly cry, almost when you're trying to hold it in. That's going to be the mentalis. All right, next is the buccinator, which is right here. There is this big muscle, the masseter, that's over the buccinator. Let's see, can I see it? Yes. So this is a good view here. You can see the buccinator, and then you can see the masseter. So the buccinator, we would say, is deep to the masseter. And your buccinator, this compresses your cheeks. All right, so if you can whistle, or like babies, it's innate for them to be able to suck. So this is the muscle that is very important, because a baby needs to be able to suck so they can feed and they can stay alive. So that the buccinator is that muscle. Since we're right here with that masseter, you can even feel that masseter if you open and close your jaw. All right, so that the masseter elevates the mandible. All right, so when you have your mouth open, you close it, you can feel the masseter. All right, so this is the prime mover of closing your jaw. You can easily palpate that. All right, what do we have left? Okay, we have the temporalis right here. And this helps Also elevate your mandible. So you can feel this when you open and close. When you close the jaw, you can feel this as well. So this helps maintain your jaw while it's at rest. All right, last muscle, I think. Let me check really quick. Yes. All right, so the last muscle, and this is a neck muscle, is the sternocleidomastoid. I cannot talk. Sternocleidomastoid. And so that is right here. And so that platysma, so if we look right here, it's this big superficial, a really wide, like sheet-like muscle. You can see it's intact here. On this side here is your sternocleidomastoid. And the name of the sternocleidomastoid, has a sternal head. Cleido is the clavicle. It has a clavicle head of the muscle. And then mastoid, you should think of like the mastoid process that we learned about. I think we did on the skull. Let's go back. So here's that sternocleidomastoid. So there was a sternal head and there was a clavicle head, and so that's where the name comes from. And basically, together, okay, so, this is, both parts of the muscles here. This helps flex the neck. And then also it allows you to rotate your face. It also allows you to turn your head laterally, flex your head laterally to the opposite side, rotate your face. So this is a really important muscle that you have to know for the neck. And there you can see it here. And so you can see that there's part of it. That's the sternal head. It's going to go to the manubrium of the sternum. And then here's your clavicle. That's going to be the clavicular head. And then it attaches all the way up. Remember that bump on your ear, the mastoid process. All right, and that is it.